Hello, I'm Jess and welcome back to a series on my channel that I like to call Growing Up, where I put on little collared shirts and blazers and stuff and I talk to you about the things that I'm learning in life right now that no one really taught me and I just had to figure out for myself, like about jobs and health and finance and all of that good stuff. I mean, not like good stuff, more like really complicated and kind of scary stuff. But what I do in these videos is that I share all the stuff that I've learned with you guys so that you don't have to figure it out for yourself later on. So the topic of today's video is how to make a resume when you have no job experience. Like, you want to get your first job and maybe you're a high schooler or a college student, like in your freshman or sophomore year, and you've never had a job before and you're like, how the heck am I gonna get a job if I've never worked before in my life? Like, I need a resume to apply to stuff, but like there's nothing on it, so what do I do? Well, I'm here to help, so let's get started. So what is a resume and why do you need it? Well, a resume is a snapshot of your accomplishments that future employers can look at really quickly and skim it. Like, basically they just scan it really fast and they think like, like, is this person qualified for the position that they're applying for? And based on their past work experience and education and all of that, does it seem like they're a hard worker and does it seem like they are a good fit for this job? So a resume is just a place to list all the great things about yourself and all the activities you've done in your life that could apply to a workplace later on, so that you don't have to like verbally reiterate it every time you're applying for something and someone can just read it really fast instead. So let's talk about like formatting your resume, okay? At the top of your resume, everyone has this information, so you've got this. Even if you don't have any work experience, you can fill this stuff out. At the very top, you're gonna put your name. You're gonna say like Jessica Horst. That's my name. You're gonna put your address right next to it in a smaller font, your phone number, and the email that you want to be contacted at. All of that information is really important if the employer actually, after reading your resume, wants to hire you or do an interview with you. Then they have all of your contact info right at the top, all the important stuff, so that they don't have to like search for it or look you up in a different way. Then the next thing that's gonna go on your resume, if you've never had a job before, is education. Education is like a category on your resume, or like a heading, one could say. And I'm gonna go through some other headings you should put on there too, but education, if you don't have any job experience, that's the first one you should put on there, because that's probably like what you spent the most of your time doing if you're a high school student or a freshman in college. Like, your education might be your biggest accomplishment so far, and you want to put your bigger accomplishments at the top of the resume because, like I said before, employers look at these very quickly and you don't want to hide the good stuff about you like way at the bottom. So let's say you're in high school right now. You're gonna put the name of your school in bold and the dates in which you're attending your school way on the right side of the page. So you'd say like 2018 through 2022, or if you haven't graduated yet, you could say anticipated graduation 2022. These dates are important because they give like a timeline to your employer so they know like how far through whatever education you're in right now you actually are. So then right under that, in like the first little bullet point, I would put my GPA, like your cumulative GPA for like all of the years you've been in high school, not like the one for like this semester, but just like your GPA in general. If you are a high school student or like a beginner college student, then employers are gonna look at your GPA as a measure for like if you're a hard-working individual or if you don't work very hard and don't really care about the stuff that you're learning. Like, having a higher GPA, even if you've had no previous work experience, is going to prove that you're still a hard worker. Along those same lines, in the next bullet point down, you can put another category called awards and honors. And here you can put anything, like if you're on the Dean's List, you could be like Dean's List recipient for, and then like list the years. Or if you had some sort of like leadership scholarship or like service award. Or for me, I did the International Baccalaureate program, the IB program, so I list that because like that's a big accomplishment. So just put like anything cool you've done in awards and honors. The same thing goes for if you're a college student. You want to list all that same information and then put your high school experience below that. Just something good to keep in mind when you're making your resume in general is to put all of your most recent things you've done at the top and then like go in order to the least recent things you've done at the bottom. This education category or section is also a good place to list if you've ever done like a study abroad program or something like that. You can list the name of that and the dates on the right side, and then you can add some bullet points to say what you learned. So if it was like in a different country, you could say you gained Spanish proficiency during that study abroad experience, or that you learned about international relations and acquired insight into global cultures. Okay, then the next big category under education is going to be leadership or volunteer experience. Now, I know that you've done some of these things. Like, you have volunteered in your life and you have done something with leadership, so you're gonna have some stuff to list in this category. Like, have you ever been like the captain of a sports team in high school? Or if you're in college right now, are you a part of like a sorority? Do you have a position? Are you the leader of a club? Are you the treasurer of a club? Do you volunteer at your church on Sundays. Like, all of this is good volunteer experience to put on your resume. Or even if you were like a camp counselor. Like, while this doesn't really seem like something someone would like look at when they're trying to hire you for a job, it totally is, because it shows that you're dedicated to something. Anything. It shows that you're good at working with other people, it shows you're a team player, and it shows that you can lead a team. Employers really want to hire people who can think for themselves, take initiative, and lead others. So you're going to want to list all these things on there. Again, put the title of the volunteer or leadership experience on the left, and then the dates that you did it during on the right, and add one-ish bullet point, maybe two, about what you learned in this experience. By the way, pro tip, when you're making these bullet points, they don't need to be full sentences, but they do need to start with an action word. And an action word is something like a verb, okay? Like mentored or provided or created. And then at the end of the sentence, you don't need to add a period, you can just like let it end. So an example of like a leadership experience that I had on my resume was that I was a first mate leader at my high school, which means that I like helped the younger kids, like the freshmen coming in, to like know stuff about the school and like led them through activities to get them used to it, and like they asked me questions if they had issues. So here is my bullet point, starting with an action word and ending without a period. Just ending, okay? I said in this bullet point, provided guidance to a group of 20 incoming freshmen, meeting monthly and supporting them as they transitioned into high school. Like, it's as simple as that. Just explain what you did so the employer knows what sort of responsibilities you've held in the past and what skills you've gained. Now let's move on to the next category, which is work experience. Now you might be saying, like Jessica, like, I don't have any work experience. That's why I clicked on this video. Like, the title of it was like making a resume with no work experience. But you might have some sneaky little work experiences hidden in there. Okay, so some things that you might not think are actually relevant, again, to like an employer, but actually are, would be like babysitting. Have you ever done that? Or like pet sitting, or working at a writing desk in your high school or college, or tutoring someone, or like coaching a sports team. You know, like these could also, I guess, be classified under the leadership section. But if you want to like separate your volunteer experience and then like leadership experience into things that were actually considered work experience, that could be a great plan for you. Like, I'm sure that a lot of you actually have babysitted in your life, but you're just like not counting it as a work experience. But you totally could come up with some good bullet points to put under that category to show future employers that you gained skills from that babysitting experience. You really just, in your first draft of your resume, you just want to list everything you've done that you can think of, and then you can go back through and take things out if they really don't seem relevant or don't seem impressive at all. But when you're writing things down and coming up with some ideas of ways to describe them, you might actually see that you did gain some skills doing that, even if it was just like gaining ways to stay more organized or a sense of responsibility. Like, you did learn something during this time, I'm sure. So write it all down and then go back and edit. So that basically brings us to the end of the categories you should list on your resume and what you should put in each category. So now just look at your resume as a whole, okay? Be sure that everything is in 11 or 12 point font, and it does not need to be double spaced. Like, make it single spaced for sure. And bold anything that's important, and don't bold anything that's not important. So bold your name at the top and make it a bigger font, and bold other categories like education, volunteer experience, leadership experience, and work experience. I also have those in a slightly bigger font, and then I also have like the titles of the things bolded but in like a small font. So for example, on my resume right now, I have like my major and my minors bolded, and then everything else in like that category of like my college and stuff in a non-bolded font. Overall, okay, this is important. You want to keep your resume to one page. You can play around with the margins and stuff to expand it to fit a lot of stuff on that page, and since it's not double spaced, you can probably fit a lot of information there. But your future employer or someone who's gonna hire you does not want to be like flipping through and like trying to read it all. Like, that's so boring and monotonous. They're gonna look at the first page and then call it a day. So take out any unnecessary words and shorten your sentences, make the font smaller, and keep it to one page. Okay, and that's about all I have to say about making a resume when you have no work experience. I really hope that it does help you apply for your future jobs, and that it helps you begin your path to getting your dream job in the future. If it did, then I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and please leave any other questions down below or ideas for my series about growing up. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.